Welcome to this video demonstration on reviewing feedback nominations for a team member. If you have given your team members the opportunity to nominate additional feedback providers, once they submit those nominations to you, you'll receive an email, and then the next time you log in to eMERGE, you'll see a task that indicates that it's time for you to review the feedback nominations provided by that individual. So we'll click on that task, and it'll bring us to the review nominations page. Now, this also gives you an opportunity to add individuals whom you would like to nominate as well. So we can see here, we're going down, we can read through the instructions. Now, one key point to this, you do need to approve or reject all of the nominees before we can move on to the next step. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can either add nominees, you could approve nominees, or you could reject nominees. So a couple of things going on here. And you can also view a job aid with click-by-click instructions on completing the form via a link within the instructions if you would like to do that. So as we scroll down, you can see that the employee has submitted 2 nominees, and one of them has already been approved. Now I can choose to approve or reject this individual, and what I'm going to do is just click approve. And what that's going to do is it is going to trigger an email alert to go to the feedback provider who is nominated. And it will basically say, you've been asked to provide additional feedback for this individual. Please do so or see me with any questions. Now, just because I've approved it doesn't mean that the feedback provider has to provide that information. The feedback provider at this point has an opportunity to accept or decline that invitation. Now, I could also reject either of the feedback provider nominees, at which point they would not receive any sort of communication, nor would the person who submitted those nominations. I could also add a nominee at this point. So the employee has nominated 2 individuals. If I wanted to add one, I could just click the add a nominee, and then in the text box above the name column, I could type in the name of anyone in the institution who I thought could provide me some additional information about this individual's work. So perhaps someone that they have worked with closely over the past year, completed a project on, etc. So we did take the necessary action. We approved the nominees that we needed to, so we can move on to the next step. There's a couple of things that we can do at this point. I could save and come back for later. Maybe I'm not ready to move on to the self-review, and maybe I'm going to come back and add a nominee. I could save, and then all this information would be right here. I could delegate this process if there is potentially someone else that I'd like to ask. Let's say this is a matrixed relationship. I'm in the department, I'm the leader of an individual who also has an appointment in a center. I may delegate this process to their leader within the center so that we can get their input on any additional feedback providers. If I felt like the individual maybe could add some more nominees, I could reopen this task and send it actually back to the employee to have them provide additional feedback providers. Or the last thing, I could proceed to self-review. Basically, when I click on this, I'm letting the employee know I've reviewed your nominations and it's time to proceed to the self-review. So I'm going to click OK here, and now my part in the process is done. As you can see, we're on to self-review. That's the button that is blue. The other 2 have been noted as completed. So now it's time for me to wait for the individual to complete their self-review and for those additional feedback providers to provide feedback to me. Thanks for joining us for this video demonstration. We hope that you'll join us for additional demonstrations that we have for each step in the process.